Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel and to another Elden Ring video. This channel is going to be focusing on tips and tricks videos for Elden Ring, including builds, bosses, dungeons, and other tips that you might want to know if you're getting into Elden Ring. Today's video is going to go over one of the locations you probably missed in Limgrave. It is a dungeon hidden within the tutorial of the game. I'm going to show you a quick guide on how to run this dungeon, avoiding the big chariot of death, helping you move through it quickly to find the boss, and also finding all the hidden items that are located in this dungeon. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. For now though, let's get into it. You may have noticed when you completed the tutorial and got to your first grace point, there was this cloudy shaped archways that you couldn't seem to pass through. Well, the way you get past this fog into this hidden dungeon of Fringefolk hero's grave is you need 2 stone sword keys. You can get these a number of ways, but most likely you're going to be finding them throughout the world. And when you have 2 of them, you can interact with these goblins to open it up and start your journey through this dungeon. I'm going to make this pathing really simple for you, and if you follow this to the T, you'll be able to hit everything nice and easily. To start the dungeon, you're going to have to run through this poison, and I mean run. If you start walking through it or you don't move fast enough, that poison bar will fill up and you will die. As you get around the corner out of the poison, you're going to want to stop here and allow this chariot of death to actually reach you so you don't get hit by it. When the chariot starts to go back down the hill, you're going to run down the ramp with it following it, ignoring the first arch of safety to your right and instead banking in on the second one as you see me doing here. You have about a second's breath before the chariot will come back past you upwards, and that is when you're going to dip down and head to the left-hand archway immediately below it. In there will be a swordsman you have to kill, and once you've killed him, you wait for the chariot to pass back down past you, and you go directly across to the other archway. Ignore the guy with the crossbow and roll immediately off and fall down onto the lower ramps. You're then going to want to immediately start sprinting all of the way through the rest of this dungeon. You're going to go down the ramp, take the left and continue up, ignoring all of the enemies that are in your pathway, and head straight up to your first big fight of this dungeon. You may have to turn around to deal with one of the enemies if they do follow you up, but for the most part all of them are going to die by the chariot following you. This pathing is perfect to make sure the chariot doesn't get in your way and you don't spend a lot of time either dying to the chariot or ducking in and out of archways trying to get the timing right. This fight in here, if you're leveled up, isn't too tough, but if you are pretty new still into the game, it can be a little bit of a difficult one due to his teleporting attacks, the wind effect he has as his Ash of War, and just some of the power of this character. Once you defeat him, you can loot his body and gain the Dragon Communion Seal, which is great for faith magic attacks, and you'll also be able to pick up the Dragon Wound Grease. From there, head back to the archway you entered in and wait for the chariot to once again appear. When it starts running down, follow it down and duck into the lowest right-hand archway until it passes again, and then you continue down the path. The timing of this is very quick, so you do have to make sure you're running as fast as possible and using your sprint button, but you're going to run straight down the path, starting heading down the ramp and duck into the left-hand side archway as soon as possible. You can see how quick this timing is and how close you may be to death. Deal with the guy who chases you into here and wait for the chariot to pass you upwards once again. Once it does, run down the path and duck into the closest archway to your left. This will be very close timing once again though, but will kill all the enemies that are standing in your way. Wait here safely until the chariot passes you up one more time and then continue your path down to the end where you will see the yellow gate of the boss room. Now this boss can be difficult depending on what level you go into it is. You can see in my first attempt, he kind of picked me up, threw me around and burnt me into a crisp within his mouth. It wasn't the most pleasant time, but after a few more attempts, I was able to beat him down and eventually defeat him. Once you defeat him, you're able to loot him, gaining yourself the Golden Seed and also a Banished Knight Oleg Spirit Summon, allowing you to summon this spirit to help you in your own battles. Then head over to the portal that sends you back to the start of this dungeon. Now that is the basics of the dungeon, but there is a hidden area that I'm going to take you through now so you can gain all the loot from this area. When you're back at the top, continue your route the same as you were going to, running into the archway, dropping down, and then when you get to the very thin narrow bridge, just drop down to the right hand side of it, being very careful that you hug the edge so that you fall down on this hidden platform. Kill the 2 pain up the arse goblin statues that sit here and then proceed down the steps, but be very careful as there is a fire trap here. You can either bait the fire out as I did here, or if you have a bow and arrow or spell, you can shoot it to take it down and proceed as you will. Be careful as you do duck into the little archway on the right, there is another goblin sitting in here waiting to ruin your day, so make sure you're ready for that fight as well. Firstly, go in and clear the room to your left. You'll be able to pick up an item in here after you deal with those 2 goblins, and then proceed down into the last part of this dungeon. As you go across the bridge, 2 of the General Grievous Shelob hybrid monsters drop down onto you and start to ruin your day. These fights are really tough, so don't be disconcerted if it does take you a while, especially if you're a lower level. You may really struggle with these fights. You don't actually have to kill these for any additional items, so if you want to just grab the loot and run, you absolutely can do. But if you want to fight them, I recommend taking them one at a time by not activating the one back on the original side of the bridge. Deal with one at a time, lure the other one over, then deal with that one, and you can get those 2 easy kills, and then pick up the item. The item you're going to pick up is the Erdtree's Favor, which will increase your health, stamina, and weight capacity of carryable items, which is a really, really good talisman that you can use in the game. So I definitely do recommend picking this up if you can. Then for the final part and the final item of this dungeon, you're going to want to follow the bridge back, but before you get to the edge, I want you to fall off where I have here onto this, once again, hidden platform. Fall down once again to the lower levels into a bit of a splash of water and proceed to the elevator you see in front of you. Call the elevator if it's not down, or just ride it up, and this will take you to the very last part, which is a ledge that you may have seen as you ran down to beat the chariot in the initial stages of this dungeon. Loot the body, kill the guy who's sitting up here, and then proceed safely to the end of the dungeon, back to the Grace, and you have completed every single part of this dungeon. That's going to take us to the end of the video and hopefully shown you how to run this dungeon nice, quickly and effectively, hitting all of the locations and beating that boss so that you can get the loot and rewards from this very, very secretive dungeon hidden at the start of the game. If you want to see more Elden Ring content, make sure you head over to my live stream, twitch.tv/RADTHARGAMING, to see my playthrough completely, or check out one of these videos that are also up on the channel that might help you on your Elden Ring journey. And now guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.